Good. So we were just talking with one of Donnie's students, okay, Georgie, and it gave me a memory of the first time I met Skeebs. His gym was located right next to the Carteret Board of Education, right next to it. And I was like, oh wow, you must be like tied in with this township. You know, at the time when I opened my gym, I grew up in Edison. I went to the schools in Edison. I was teaching in Edison, and I couldn't give it away. And you were right next to the Board of Ed, and you're like, Zach, they don't really want anything to do with me. And I want to talk about how maybe the mistakes I made. I want to, I guess, hear from you, because it sounds like you were an integral part of this. Not sounds like, you were definitely an integral part of the community. Talk about it. Like,
I'm going to tell you what happened. The same thing that happened to you guys happened to me. The school was adversarial. They weren't really embracing me.
Why was the school adversarial?
I don't know.
And how old were your own children at the time?
So my oldest, he's 25 now, so I guess he was...
Elementary school age?
He was elementary school age, going into junior high. And so, so there was coaches at the high school that would bring them to TNT. So like they would come, because they had a school gym, but Ezra Hill, legend.
So when you owned the gym, it was first called TNT, not Real Gym.
No, I didn't own it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
when I got it, it was when I took over the gym, I changed the name to Real Gym.
Okay.
Because I wanted it to be me, and they would bring the kids down. Ezra had a personal relationship with, so he would bring the kids down. Like they would have a break or whatever.
Who was Ezra? Yours?
He was a assistant coach at the high school, so he would bring the kids down on break, and then that's when I started building a relationship with the kids at the school. But these kids were a lot older than my son at the time, and then slowly there was a beginning of changing of the guard, and their coach is from originally from Clark, which was next door to Rahway.
Yeah.
So he and I, we fell in love with each other, and
you did?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
How come?
Eventually, because
because this is a struggle. A lot of private strength coaches, they want to help. And I'll say this, it's not really good to do it free, because you have to make, so the administration, you know how they got their rules and regulations. Yeah. So what happened was, I was like, I'll bring the kids, I'll open my doors to the kids. And that way the school can never tell me I could, because I curse, I swear, I talk about topics that normally would be council culture or, it's the bullshit of society right now. Everything is bullshit. You know what I mean? Real shit. Like I always told them one time. Everything is bullshit.
It is. It's painstakingly, sickening. My kid gets in, my young son, he gets into an altercation at school, and they want to.
Guys, can you guys lower it a little bit so we don't have cross interference here?
They want to suspend him, suspend the other kid, instead of getting to the cause of the problem.
Right.
I go to the school, I pull my son aside, I said, what happened? He told me exactly what happened. So don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. I go have a conversation with the vice principal at the time, and he knew somebody from my old town. And then I said, listen, give me the number of the parents of the other kid. Now he was, the kid was, what you call a bad kid, but there's no bad kids, it's just bad situations. You don't know what that kid is dealing with at home, right? And I told my kid, if you're ever faced with any situation, you handle it right there. Like if a kid is about to fight you or punch you or do anything to you, you take the offensive. You make sure that you take care of yourself first, right? You never be the initiator, but you damn sure don't let nobody tee off on
That's
it, right?
the opposite of what's told today.
Right.
Even if your house is getting robbed, they tell you.
You can't even, it's crazy.
Right?
So I pull the vice principal aside and said, you're not suspending my kid. I said, he's a straight A student. He's never been in trouble. This kid is down at the office every day. My kid comes home telling me about situations, and I knew one day it would be his turn. And there was multiple kids involved, and they was like, no, you're right, this, that. And I said, but that kid, I don't want that kid in trouble neither. Let me talk to their parents, and if anybody has a problem with it, then I'll deal with it, you know what I mean? And so, make a long story short, he didn't suspend my kid, and I told him, in life, when my kid is faced with a situation, he can't call a teacher or wait for somebody to save him. He has to deal with that situation right then and there. And you're not raising my kid, I'm raising my kid. And you're not gonna tell me how my kid should handle a situation. And that's where I put my foot down from start to finish, and that's the way I always dealt with that school. So with the kids, they were like, oh, if you train here, you have to do this, you can't curse, you can't, nah, get the hell out of here. They're coming to my gym and they're gonna learn it the way they're supposed to learn it. Right. And oh, deadlifting hurts kids, and nah, get the fuck out of here. If my son didn't deadlift, he might not be walking right now. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, you never know how things are gonna.
But how did it, the hardest thing to do is get kids in your own town that could walk or ride your bike to you to show up. It's like my one buddy says, proximity bias. They'll be like, there's no way Donnie's an expert. I know that guy. He lives in town. We can't go to Donnie. So like,
exactly.
People,
and this is how I would get them. So there's another story that intertwines how I got these professional athletes to come to me. There was a guy named Larry Marshall at the old TNT. Now, he trained Andrew Bynum. He took him to the NBA, and Scotty Hobson, Marshawn Brooks. Every 7-footer that came to the United States from Nigeria or Africa would come through him. He's very entrenched in professional and college basketball. So one day he was on a treadmill after I had bought it. So nobody really knew about the transition. He's got, the sweatsuit on. It's this guy about 6'10" or 6'8" or whatever. Older gentleman. He's like a big brother to me. So I'd say about 10 years older than me. 10 years my senior. And so he's walking on the treadmill, and I come up the stairs, and then he says to me, oh, you're the guy that got the gym? I said, yeah. So then we have a conversation. He tells me all of these things that people would assume would be far-fetched. Right? So then we have an incredible conversation. And when a man is speaking from the heart.
What do you mean he said? What was far-fetched?
He's telling me that he trains Scotty Hobson, Andrew Bynum. No, he tells me about all the professional athletes, is before Scotty and him, but all the professional athletes that he's dealt with. So we're in a small little hole-in-the-wall gym in Keyport, New Jersey. How believable is that? Right. He jumps in a beat-up truck and drives off. So you're like, the normal guy would be like, he's full of shit.
Right.
I took him on his word. So I guess a few months later, I'm walking in the gym and I hear a whole bunch of commotion upstairs. I go upstairs, it's like the land of the giants. And he has Tennessee's whole basketball team up there. All the top players. Guys are down at the bottom of the gym with the eyes this big. So-and-so was upstairs, so-and-so was upstairs. And so, and he's like, I told you I'd bring these guys through. And then he and I, speaking about integrity, our situation was always on a handshake. And anything we've ever done in that industry has always been 50-50. And still to this day is a handshake. So he's been my partner forever when it comes to professional sports and all of that. And from you name it, every professional athlete I've dealt with came through him.
Most pro athletes in New Jersey live, well, some of them buy houses after they retire.
But they're not even New Jersey guys. So I have Michael Beasley.
Where's he from?
Beasley's from Baltimore originally. And but he was the number 2 pick. I had Scotty Hobson.
And why did they come out here? How did they?
They came for him, but the thing was, this gym, and he saw the style of training. He saw me train. So he actually used to train athletes.
Training? How did
he would come to the gym and he would be there and he saw me how I worked and he was like, this guy.
How you lifted personally, or how you trained other people?
How I trained other people and how I lifted.
Yeah.
So he was like, man, if you apply this to my kids, because basketball players deadlifting, squatting, knees, But the thing is, with a basketball player, you have them do block pulls. You don't have them pull from the ground. You have to get, you check out the biomechanics, and then there's certain ways to apply it. You don't have them do an Olympic squat. You know what I mean? It's certain things that, I apply. So he we would take them to hell and back. So the guys that could weather the storm, Kentucky, I think, went to not Kentucky, Tennessee went to the Sweet 16. They didn't, or the Elite 8 that year that we had them. Marshawn Brooks, he brought, I never forget, he brought him in. It was a kid from, oh my God, what was the kid from? He played for another team that he was training with. Now this kid was an animal, but he was undersized. And DePaul, and then was it DePaul? And then Marshawn was from Providence, and so this kid was killing him in the workouts. And then when he came back, he was he took it to the next level. You know what I mean?
Why,
just from
got
train
strong?
him. We trained him so hard. I mean, this guy, we took them to hell and back. And then that following year, he became the Big East scoring champ. He killed it. And then he was a first-round draft pick.
The internet has really stopped. Like, people are afraid of that train. They think it's bad. It makes them slow to deadlift and all that. But talk about, so what did, like, the community saw you training those, like, high-level guys, and then they're like, you could train. How did kids start coming to see
No,
you?
the kids came before that. So what happened was I had a son in the school.
So
and
was
so
his
I was
friends,
trained,
or?
and so a combination of everything, and me and my, just being out in the community and the youth football, being involved with the Pop
Coaching?
Warner program.
Were you a coach?
Right, I was a coach.
Yes,
So
I think that
was
is
like in the mayor at the time was John Merler, and he had a flag football team, and that was the first team that my son got on, and then he was like, "You run the offense," so that was cool.
You
And
played
then-
football at Rahway High
Yeah,
School?
I played at Rahway.
Yeah. What about college? Did you go to college?
So
or
what
did you
happened
do
was I got in the music industry.
Yeah, I remember this,
So
So no college.
so no college.
Street
I was
college.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, on the streets. What about you?
Entrepreneur.
Well, after Carteret High School?
What about after Carteret High
Yeah.
School? I went to school out in Kansas. It's called Bethany. Actually, I played first year football over there, but it didn't really mean the same thing to me as when I was playing at Carteret. Because during those days, Carteret, we used to have 5,000 people in the stands. Really, we really did. You used to have people thick, 2-3 people around the fences and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
when I went there, I said I did the first year, and then I said that was it. I went directly into lifting and did that kind of stuff. But one of the things I did out there, I was the actual strength coach for Bethany's football team, and I was only 19 years old because they never had it or heard anything about
Oh,
that.
they saw you lifting? What
They-
was the
because-
weight room like over there?
Horrible.
Like what equipment though?
Horrible. All they had was a squat rack, a universal.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I helped develop, I had people come in, weld different pieces of equipment, right? One of the things I invented back then was a dual-sided power rack. I was always very proud of that. That we'd have
The two sides.
Yeah, two-sided, so that what happened, there'd be two athletes facing each other and competing against each other when
Yeah.
they squatted. So I did that, and then they just really liked what I was doing with that, and I stayed there for a while and helped with that, but then eventually I really got into powerlifting. I started competing as a sophomore, and I just went my different way.
And so you graduated that college, or you came
I
back
graduated
home?
that college. I graduated with a teaching degree
In Kansas? Wow.
called Lindsborg, Kansas. And the beauty of it was my wife and I already knew that we were in love and we wanted to do something together. And so she went to work for us. She went to work for Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
And saved the money. And I went and got my degree. And what happened was, as soon as we got out, like a month and a half later, June 28th, 1980, we got married, and it's been 44 years ever since.
And you taught, when did you start teaching at Carteret High School? What year?
1980.
1980. So back then still was like weightlifting was a bit taboo. And what was
Yeah.
interesting is like the Hollywood action movies with Arnold and Sly and machines were actually the big thing, like chrome
Well, actually,
machines.
actually, that's why I became so familiar with Ivanko, because I don't remember what year it was, but they actually were in Avenel, and myself and Kenny Toth, went out there and looked at all the stuff they got. As a matter of fact,
It was what were they selling? Plates, dumbbells,
plates, all
barbells?
chrome stuff,
Yes.
curl bars, nice dumbbells, and a whole 9 yards. It was really a nice start for a lot of people could get that stuff. But of course, we went very rudimentary. we had everything we had was either from Wonder Health, right? And I always remember, like I always tell the story, I was very lucky. My father always supported me. And I remember one time, the first time he bought us a bench because he said, Henri, you're going to be strong. And so he bought me an extra heavy duty bench like the Wheeze competition.
For who made the benches? Was it Weeder or?
No, it was actually, if I remember correctly, it was Jubenville.
Oh, Jubenville, out of Massachusetts.
I still have the first bench.
Indestructible stuff. People
Indestructible.
You see people selling Jubenville on. You have like a walkout squat rack upstairs. Did somebody buy it already? I think it's up there still.
So that walkout squat rack goes to Smuts, Nick Smuts. His brother was one of my kids. Football and well, a little older than he was a year older than my son, my oldest, and they had an amazing football team. That was the comeback year, and he passed away, and he loved that squat rack, and he was in here every day. I mean, he trained so hard. So that his brother gets that rack.
That's special. Like you said, everything has meaning. So
everything has meaning.
How did you get the Jubenville, man? You had to drive
Well, no, we bought it from Wonder Health Food. Because they used to carry all, that was in Bloomfield. That was the #1 store. It was like going to Mecca every time we went there.
It was a health food supplement store.
You never went to?
You had told me about it.
Oh, because I'm just telling you, Wonder Health Food, I mean, the two guys, Bill and Romeo, they ran that place before anything was.
Is this Wonder Barbell or different?
Well, it is the same. They made the plates and stuff like that. But the whole wonderful thing was, I remember even when I went up there, I remember that they actually would allow you, if you bought a pair of dumbbells and you grew and got stronger, you could switch them back and get another pair of Yorks. I used to have
you told me this. That's
I used to have
amazing.
Globe dumbbells from there, and I used that. But the most important thing I ever got one was a York 555 set, which you see.
Was it a standard bar though?
Standard bar, and I didn't get an Olympic bar until my sophomore year, maybe a little bit later. I still have the bar.
Yeah.
I kept everything. That bench I have right now, as you've seen video, my boy Will Lugardo.
Yeah.
Will Lugardo is a freak. He uses that, and he uses all the old stuff in my gym. You know why? He says he has to give some of that old equipment love. Just like you have here, I see.
That's the kid that oh man.
He's huge.
He is incredible. And what he doesn't want to, I go outside, and first of all, he won't use a power bar to squat because he says it makes it too easy, right? And then he does his big thing that he does in my backyard with the gym is he puts 2 fire hydrants on a Olympic bar and lunges up and down the driveway. Now, if you know anything about the weight of that, it's 250 a fire hydrant, and the bar is 45, and he does that, and then he does benches, maybe 2 to 3 reps with the bar like that.
We'll get.
We got to get Lou in
my
here.
guy
Well,
Samson will put some B-roll of William Lugardo training while you talk about him. So Jubenville equipment, and by the way, like that area. Ford's had the Keesby Weightlifting Club where Phil Gripaldi trained.
that's where Kenny Toth actually was a member of that.
And also Bert Soren's dad, who passed away a couple months ago, Pop Soren, grew up in Hillside.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he moved, when he went to University of South Carolina, he never came back to New Jersey. So Pops was in his early 70s, I think. So he may have been a bit older than you, but he used to go to York Barbell by train to go watch the Strength and Health picnics, and he used to buy weights from Andy Jackson in Springfield, Jackson Barbell. So a lot of people who don't know the history don't realize that our area, and you guys were a few towns north of me, 15, 20 minutes away from Edison, then about 15, 20 minutes north of you guys was equipment manufacturers. Although Keesby Weightlifting Club was Ford's, which would have been very close to Atlantic because that Keesby area was actually considered Perth Amboy.
Right.
So there's a lot of history through New Jersey, and that's why I love the old equipment, because I don't know where the imagination came from, but I'm always imagining who used it generations before me. To me, that's the beauty of it.
I remember there was a piece of poetry written about that one day, how a bar made a full circle. You you start one day, you know, this bar, some gentleman gets a bar, passes out to one person, another person. And it's so funny, later in life, when they told the story, they said the bar actually made it back to a son of the kid that actually had originally. And so, I mean, that kind of stuff, those bars, you could never buy any of that stuff off me because my father gave that to me and it means the world to me. I still feel when I grab that bar.
Can't, people will offer me, like I have a Globe dumbbell, 150 pounds. I'm not sure where it came from, but somebody offered me 10 grand and I said, what's like 10 grand? You can't. No. Yeah, even like, I get it. People collect, they trade. I don't know if I would trade any stuff. Maybe if I wanted like Jackson plates or something, but I think I owe something to that weight to keep working it and keep using it.
Kenny, I don't know if Kenny Toth is he's just an amazing Institute of Iron. He has just about everything, you know, like just equipment-wise, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yep. Call them the gurus.
We always used to believe, if you really want to believe like we did, I mean, everything has a spirit.
Yes,
and,
I agree.
And one of the things we always used to do, and before he used to squat, the Russians used to kiss the bar and say, actually, David Riegert used to kiss the bar and say, "I will lift you, my friend."
I heard of this. Yeah, I heard.
And that's how, I mean, talking about that, that's what does it for me. Like you, Donnie. I've seen when he does his lift and he transforms, you know what I mean? And I think we all do that, and I live for that.
We're gonna close it out here. You know, so you're selling a lot of stuff here, but you've got this like cart with all
I shipped it all to my yard yesterday.
What do you mean your yard? To home?
I took it home. Yeah.
You took it home.
Yeah,
so
I made a home gym in my garage.
You will?
I'm going to open another place.
Will it be like how you grew up, Donnie, training in the front yard with
I'm going to do my neighborhood, but my gym is going to be open in my backyard to anybody, to the kids.
Will people complain about it?
No, not in my neighborhood. It's like a dead end. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for a nice, but I'm going to purchase the building.
That's the way. Yep.
Warehouse, not maybe the size of this, you know. And then I'm going to put all the old equipment back in there, and then I want to open it I just want to gift it.
All right. If I could do it for free one day, I would. If I won the lottery, the gym would be free.
Because this is what makes us who we are. But we're from different walks of life, right?
Yep.
Different individuals, but we're united by that, right?
Always.
And we're all stand-up guys. Like, you know, it just gives you a certain ethic about, you know, and a respect for life, you know what I mean? And I always try to reflect back on what made me who I am. And my dad, he was just an incredible man. He would hand me books, Science of Mind, autobiography of Malcolm X, and he would just tell me World Book Encyclopedia, you know, read it from start to finish. Encyclopedia, he was like, your vocabulary will be incredible if you just read every page, you know? And he just was always a forward thinker, you know, and he would take me to appreciate the nature, you know, watch the sunrise. Every day is a beautiful jewel. When you wake up, it's a unique, you know, there'll never be another sunrise like that. Did your dad grow up in
Rahway or somewhere else?
My father's from Rahway, yeah. And Newton Street. And you know, I just have, he was incredible. He died at the age of 53. So when I turned 53, it was like very, you know, and I'm 55 now, you know, thinking every day that I'm here. But my son, my eldest, all my boys, but is what my father would be, you know, he would be incredibly happy to see what type of boys, grandkids he has. And all his grandkids, you know. I have, nieces and nephews that are incredible, and he would be very happy with how we all turned out.
Yeah, and so like where we grew up, the gyms, how it like shaped us into who we are. What about you, Skeebs? What do you think? Like Skiba Barbell will always be in a building, or what do you think? As long
as I do it, I always promise, because the whole idea, like, I love when I hear Donnie talk about his dad, because I learned a lot from him talk, because he was an exceptional man. I never met him or nothing like that, but incredible some of the stuff he talked about. My place is very simply, what I did was, I always believed, my father, you know, him and I fought cancer. It took him, he had cancer, and for 15 years, you know, we fought it, and I still remember him. I had him in bed, and I gave him dumbbells every day, and he said, "Andre, how am I doing?" He said he was doing good all the way to the end. But what I did, because I loved his tenacity, his love of life, as we would say in French, joie de vivre. And I decided, you know, when you're a regular guy and a person passes, you know, they forget real fast. Unless you're like some kind of rich businessman, they name a building or a street after you. And what I decided was, I have a living tribute. And that's for him, and I always have kept it. I will keep it open. And you know, my wife and I, that's why we decided on a smaller building. I could always pay for it myself if I had to, and like Donnie's gonna do. But you know, I run it like that, but I keep expanding it because I feel like I'm helping a lot of other people. And that was the first phase of it. And I always remember when everything, because we always never turn a kid away, and I find trying to help them. And the second phase, I actually started one time with the Skiba's gym, was downstairs. I put chairs downstairs, and I started trying to tutor, you know, kids how to read, because I'm a special ed teacher. And that was a tribute, because that was a tribute to my mom, because my mom only never went past 8th grade education, because she had to, in France, when they bombed her building, dad left and everything else. The poor woman at 14 years old had to carry the family with 8 children. So I really believe those people in those days were exceptional. And I think, you know, all of us, when I look at you guys, what you do, Zach, and what Donnie does, I'll tell you something, I think they'd be proud, they'd be smiling. That's my story.
Yeah, amazing.
No, Zach is amazing. Like, I mean, people don't realize it, but you're world renowned. Like, to come from Edison and be world renowned, and so, no, really.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You underground, like, you know, you put a lot of people in motion, and a lot of people take the credit and run. I watched. A lot of people ran with it. I remember CrossFit begging you not to leave them. Remember?
Yeah, but I want to say, like, you know what it was I liked those early days of CrossFit from the garage, and then I always felt once it became kind of quote unquote mainstream, I was like, I honestly told them, I said, listen, I don't feel like I'm not carrying your name. And so Greg Glassman said, listen, not everybody involved in CrossFit has to own a CrossFit. He's like, it's like, you know, Louis Simmons influences through powerlifting. You could still be a part of the community. And I loved the early garage community, which was...
Where they fabricated their own pull-up and rigs and all of that. And every gym was unique. It was like I wanted to go to Oregon and see that spot that they had. I wanted to go to Tennessee and see those unique places out west.
Like Fun
and
Puckers.
Then it became cookie cutter. Everybody buying Rogue became a... I remember, not to interrupt, I'm sorry I interrupt you. Rogue was a fabricator, remember? And they had a little gym. Yeah. And then it just became a monster.
And listen, business, I understand business decisions, but I also understand like just following my heart. And anytime you don't follow like your soul, your heart, it just really backfires on you. And sometimes it's like in music. I would say this about music. When the musician strays from who they really are, maybe they get more, but internally you're like, this is not me. I gotta stay true to me. And so I have found myself sometimes veering off, and it's always good to just come back to who you really stand for. What is like, you know, live your truth. There's a book out there called Live Your Truth. And to me, like just the book title says it, like, what do you stand for? This is like, you know, being in this is what you know, it's hard to put into words. You guys get it because it's a feeling. It's something inside of you. But that's what we stand for, man. So even this, right? People would say, why you make this video? It's not the algorithm and all this shit. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of what's real. And it's important to keep sharing the history of everything. So, man, going to be very, You know, I could see how it's emotionally tough for you to close, but I like how you said, I got to do right by the town. We'll get video footage like the water is right there. The ocean is right here. And so you're taking care of your town before you're taking care of you. And that's so rare. That's really powerful. Skeebs, you don't turn anybody away. You know, my gym now is in a real nice area that's different than Edison. You know, there's not people that really can't afford us. But when I was in Edison, I remember mom saying or dad saying, like, all right, we caught him using drugs. Like, I need you to help. A lot of stuff back then was not just strength and conditioning. You know, it was like hey, we need you to help my kid. It was something deeper than that. And so that's why I tell coaches, stop just training for the football or the soccer or the basketball. What are you doing like on deeper levels? And we're all parents, and your kids, big football players. I always look at the coaches. I'm like, who's talking to my kids about life? Or you just telling my kid how to swing a bat and throw a ball? Like, you know, I get it. That's part of it. But what's the deeper meaning? Like, that kid here, Georgie, that kid loves you. That kid, he didn't say it outright, but he's saying, I'm where I am because of what D-Rock taught me with work ethic. To me, that's how you know the only way you're making an impact is if you're changing lives, not points on the scoreboard.
It's not monetary. Yeah. It's not what your check says. It's not the money. It's not about what people think. Everything is about money. And even with my new industry, it was my father's dream. It has nothing to do with money. Money comes or may not. You have to live your passion in life. When you live your passion in life, it's not monetary gain. It's the gain, like you said, the kids, the relationships, it's the people, it's the intertwines, the people you affect. That's what it's about. And sometimes it takes years to circle back to realize what life is really about. You know what I mean? Life is about experiences. It's about ups and downs. It's about sad times and happy times. You can't define one without the other. And everybody wants to be in this cookie cutter, cancel culture. You can't say this, you hurt my feelings. Like one time I had the kids up there, it was a little asshole, tiny little thing, and the big fat kid is crying. He called me fat. I said, well, you are fat. Mm-hmm. He's not lying.
No, right, yeah. No, you're right, Johnny.
So, but the best thing you could have said to him.
You have a choice.
That's right.
If you don't like being fat, you can work on it. But there's nothing wrong with being fat. And think about this. You can kick his ass.
Yeah.
If he's calling you names you don't like it, you can beat his ass. And if you're going to be calling big kids names, you better learn how to fight and defend yourself. Because he'll kick your ass. And I'm going to teach him how to kick your ass. So you both better learn how to fight. And that's the way you have to address these kids. Not like, oh, you shouldn't call him fat, you're hurting his feelings. Fuck his feelings. Life don't give a fuck about your feelings.
That's so true.
Control your emotions, control your life. That's what my father, one of the most important things he taught me. Because if I allow you to control me, if you make me angry, you're in control. I don't want you to be in control. I have to be in control of myself. And that's what everything is all about. But yeah, getting back to it, this is what life is about. Everybody's chasing the buck or what's a politically correctness. No. Nigga, spick, Jew, honky, cracker, faggot, whatever. That doesn't make me. I make me. So whatever you say about me doesn't define me. And that's what you have to build kids' self-esteem with the weights, with, you know, learning how to defend themselves, and that builds their character so they don't care. They're free to be whoever they are. If you want people to be safe in society, build their self-confidence, build their strength, and build their minds, and you'll be fine.
And real gym, real strength training builds more than a big deadlift and a big muscles. It builds, like you're saying, the mind, the life. That's, you know. One
of the things I always tease about, you know, when they always talk about the eureka moment.
Yeah.
One time with me when I was squatting, a ton of weight. And I had Danny Mays on and Nikki Mays on over there spotting me. And when I took the weight out, this thing came over my head and it said, lifting is like a microcosm of life. Now, not too many people would think you're thinking like that when you're lifting a heavy weight, but it came across my thought process. Of course, I got the weight, but I just realized lifting is how you approach life. Either you're gonna go forward, you're gonna go through something, no matter what, or you're gonna back off and quit. And I'll say, I'll be damned if I back off and quit.
Yep.
I'm gonna move forward. I have, like Donnie says, I have control of myself, and that's what I wanna do. I just wanna make one more point, because I wanna forget it. Because when you talk about everything, like all of us have great people behind us, right? And of course, I mention Louis all the time, and I mention Mr. Penna. But most important, I just wanna mention my wife, who stuck with me through all this stuff, right? Donnie and I, we talk about that stuff all the time. We were lucky to have wonderful women like you do, right? Every time I want to purchase something in the gym or something like that, and sometime we're tight, she says, okay, hon, what do you want? And so I remember one time we were like really, I always wanted to get that static dynamic piece. And my wife gave up our payment, what do you get, the income tax payment? And that's how we bought that. And somebody who believes in you like that, that knows what, I said, I need this or need that, and just to build something, because I'm building more than, I tell her, I'm building something, honey, I'm building something. I'm really trying to build something, for the kids, for myself, for my family, and lifting means that much to me. And I found out after all these years, I love it now more than even when I started. I had to share it with you, because I see, you speak in your whole heart. All of us are speaking from the heart.
One crazy thing, similarity, right? And this is funny, and I'm mad that I forgot. No. Me and my wife, I can't say she'll get mad at me, but we've been together since she was 17, I was 18, right? So we moved in together when she was 18 and I'm 19, right? And my first bench that I owned myself, she bought for me.
Oh,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So it was like we lived on top of my father's club on the third floor, and she bought me a bench. For it was it's like
That's somebody that believes in you, baby.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like my first bench that was mine.
Yeah.
She bought me.
Yeah, that's funny. When we started the underground out of the garage, we had bought a house, but we couldn't move into it for a year because it was a full gut. I'm talking the ceilings, everything. Well, what did we do first? Her uncles sheetrocked the garage. We painted it. We put on like the diamond plate against the wall. The garage was done first. And I was training kids out of that garage, living with my parents. She lived with her parents. And the money I made from training people out of the house, I paid. Her uncles were our contractors. They rebuilt our house, but what did they rebuild first? The garage, the two-car garage.
You gotta show pictures of that, man.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of videos because back then, I had to buy a digital camera to take photos. Right. So I have videos of those garage days. And so, yeah, that was, those were special times, but we're here, Real Gym. Real Gym will live on, just a different location. And the underground one day will probably not be in Manasquan, but it will live on. And same thing with Skiba's Barbell Club. It might not be in that building, but it will live on and carry on. And then when we're gone, the kids that we trained will, as we've gotten older, we realize what we had, they will realize.
They're our legacy.
Right. Our immortality, I like to say.
Yeah, changing lives. So, guys, thanks for watching. I'm here with my friends, Henri Skiba, Donnie Rock Blanks, and man, old school gyms talking stories from the heart. Thank you, guys.